Chair's there just if you feel like you need it, if you do a better job with the chair. So as you squeeze your thighs together, you're starting to connect with your pelvic floor and your deep core. So nice and easy. This is the easiest sort of squat you can do. But maybe, if you've got the chair there, maybe you could come into releve, where you just lift up onto the balls of your feet, drop the heels. So it's the releve, the lift of the heels, that makes this challenging. You could try it without the chair. You could put one finger on the chair, even is enough to make a difference. Just waking up the feet. So when you do any sort of balance work, just fix your gaze on the screen that you're watching. And if my movement upsets you, then look just above it and just look at something that's not moving. Okay, so come into first position. Find the degree of turnout that feels right in your hips, and just start with your plie. Keep your spine nice and straight over the pelvis, so you're not leaning forward. If you lean forward, you can go a lot deeper. Keep the shoulders aligned with the hips. Think inner thigh squeeze and pull up through the pelvic floor. So really it's that invisible squeeze that really just gets that little bit more out of your powerhouse. So maybe now you put the finger on the chair, releve, heels together, plie, inner thigh squeeze, releve. So maybe you could do that freestanding. It's not quite so easy. You've really got to focus on your abs. If you pull your belly button to the back of your spine, the balance will get easier. And if you don't feel it does, then keep the hand on the chair. Today's everything. It's just a little bit of a mixture. Thought I'd mix up a few things. Last one. So a really nice way to prep. So just bring your feet together, do some ponies. So we're just doing a very small amount of ballet. Take the flat plane above the toes to the mat, a little bit of a wiggle, roll it out. So the flat plane above the toes, a little bit of a wiggle, roll it out. So coming to feet at hip space, toes turned out to the degree that feels comfortable in your hips. And as you do your plie, the knees are over the big toes. You're not leaning forward, shoulders over pelvis. Think inner thigh squeeze, pull up through the pelvic floor. So you're working a lot harder than it looks by imagining that you've got like a beach ball between the thighs. And you're squeezing the ball up through the pelvic floor. Couple more. This was good to do the legs right at the beginning when you're nice and fresh. So see, finger on the chair, releve. Plie, inner thigh squeeze, releve. Maybe take the hands away. Plie, lift. So great for the feet. There's Jessie. He always has to make an appearance in every video, it seems. Couple more. Last one. Lovely. So bring the feet together. Do your ponies again. So that's all we're going to do with the chair. The chair was just for the very beginning. Rid of it. Towel for later on. So we're just going to come into feet hip space. And we're going to just cross the hands on the chest. Get a sense of growing tall and just spiral up and around. Come back in. So imagine the energy in the spine is spiraling up, growing a little bit taller as you turn, coming back to your normal height as you center. So spiraling up and around. You're trying to feel every single vertebra, get a little bit of a stretch, and all the little muscles that attach from the processes of your spine to the ones above and below. So you can feel all those little multifidi, those little tiny muscles. So it's really good stretch to start with. Keep the hips perfectly still, they're not moving. so that you get the right sort of feedback and you get a stronger stretch. Chin is slightly tucked, you're not leading with the head. The movement's more in the rib cage. So come into your Cossack position, spiral up and around. So you're bringing your arms in, you're bringing in the bigger muscles now. And again, let's have a little gentle bounce. You're going to breathe in as you rotate and bounce. 1, 2, 3. Breathe out and come back to natural. Breathing in, 2, 3. Breathing out. Try and keep the pelvis nice and still. Breathing in, 2, 3. So there's lots of tight muscles in the rib cage. Breathing in, 2, 3, especially around the sides and at the back. Take the arms into a window position. Breathe in and rotate. 1, 2, 3. Breathe out and center. Breathing in, 2, 3. Breathe out and center. Take the arms a little bit higher. Breathing in, 2, 3. So the higher the arms, the more the stretch is in the rib cage. And you're bringing in arm lines as well. Take the arms even higher. Breathing in, 2, 3. Come back into center. Last time, breathing in, 2, 3. Come back into center. Bring the arms back down. Bring the feet quite close together. Knees are soft. Find your pelvic floor. You're just going to roll down. Just feel the stretch there. And then as you breathe out, draw the sit bones together. Come back up and just opening up and lift your heart. Add an in-breath to get even more expansion and breathing out. 2 more times. Rolling down. Just feel like you're pushing your sit bones towards the ceiling. Breathing in, breathe out, strong abs, come back up. Lift the heart, inhale, come back down. 1 more. Rolling down. Push the sit bones towards the ceiling. Take a nice deep breath into the rib cage, expand. As you breathe out, draw the sit bones together, contract your abs. Opening up, lift the heart, exhale and down. So just, I'm turning sideways, you can stay as you are. I want you just to think about where the thigh muscles at the front come into the front of the pelvis. Just want you to hinge at that point and then use your bottom muscles to come back up. So your feet are slightly apart, you're hinging. Do the stretch in your hamstrings, contract your glutes, use your low abs to come back up. So the hip hinge, do the stretch in your hamstrings, strong abs, strong glutes to come back up. 1 more, hip hinge. It's a really good functional movement. Contract your glutes, contract your abs, come back up. So we're going to add in just a little bit. We're going to hinge at the hip. We're going to come into an easy squat. We're going to lift the bottom, drop the chest, and then abs and glutes strong to come back up. So we do that again, hinge at the hip. Come into an easy squat, the squat that you can keep your heels on the floor. Lift your bottom, drop your head, contract your abs and your glutes, come back up. So all the work is in the pelvis and the hips, hinging, get that lovely hamstring stretch. Drop the hips, how low can you go and keep your heels on the floor? Bring your bottom up, bring your head up, we'll do 1 more, hinging. Feel the stretch first, dropping into your squat, maybe go a bit deeper on this last one, lift your bottom, lift your head, and then just do some ponies and just shake out a little bit. So a nice stretch for your hips is to go a little bit wider than hip space, come into a knee bend, and then just glide your pelvis over to one side, and then glide over to the other side. Just feel the stretch in your bottom, in your hip muscles. So just go into where you feel a glide and a stretch. If you go a little bit further and press into your foot on the floor, you might even start to notice your inner thigh as well. So there's quite a lot going on this one. So just keep going with that. I can feel my knees as well. So it's just challenging the hips, the knees, the ankles through different ranges. Last one. So come back to this side, go a little bit wider and just stay in the inner thigh stretch. You can just gently move in and out of it. Make sure that feels good. So you're not bouncing, you just stretch and release, stretch, release, stretch, stretch. So a moving stretch is always far superior to a static stretch, but obviously you've got to use a bit more control. So it's not a bouncing stretch, it's just a dynamic moving stretch. So we did 6. So come to the other side, just get used to it first of all. This hip might feel completely different. And then just release and then stretch. You release and then you stretch. So my thumb and my finger align the inner thigh, stretching. And then relaxing and stretching. The door's open today, it's nice and cool. So I think this is 5, this one is 6.